All right, listen up, Dragoon Raiders. Get squared away. You are about an hour and a half away from going on a well-deserved block leave, but you got one more mission, and that's our welcome home ceremony. The purpose of the welcome home ceremony is, of course, to welcome us home as a brigade, but also to honor the 54 soldiers that lost their lives over the 15-month deployment. So I'm going to ask you for the next hour and a half to be hard one more time as we do our welcome home ceremony. Command Sergeant Majors, take charge of your organizations and move them to the parade field. Hooah!
We gather today in recognition of the brigade's return to Fort Lewis from a tough tour downrange. You saw us through the fights, the battles, the conflicts. At many times the stress of war was enormous, while at other times the stress was homesickness and the desire to focus on loved ones, yet knowing instead we had to focus on the mission and the task at hand.
Fort Lewis, our great state of Washington, and the entire nation are indeed proud today of your successful mission and your return home. In this deployment, you were summoned to duty 30 days early, foregoing a training exercise at Fort Lewis. But you made up for it quickly in Iraq, with immediate service as part of a troop surge organized by General Petraeus and General Odierno. Welcome home, Raiders.
I'd been in the Army, of course, for a long, long time. Already by September 11, 2001, I had 16 years in service at that time, and 4 years at West Point. And it changed in the respect that, I guess it changed more from the perspective of the people of the United States and what people thought about the military and the Army. I mean, I'd been in combat before September 11th. I always knew that if I continued to stay in the Army even before September 11th, that I'd probably go to combat again.
My father warned me off about being in the Army because his lifestyle was rough. You know, he knew what it was like to be a soldier. He did 3 tours in Vietnam, you know, and he knew we were in a time of war. And he did not want to see me getting involved in a situation like that. But he knew who I was and what I was about, and I wasn't doing it to follow in any footsteps at all or anything like that. I was doing it because something I believed in.
You always go through phases when in high school or middle school or whatever, and you decide, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. But I always kind of knew that I was going to do something, you know, in the military, and I ended up choosing the Army.
My father was served in Vietnam. He was an infantryman and a ranger in Vietnam. His father as well. My mother's side, her father, my uncle, pretty much everybody, you know, either got drafted or joined.
It's funny, I was actually down in school at Tarleton State University down there, and 9/11 happened. It was one of those things where one of those stars aligned kind of right thing. I just felt it in my gut. You know, it was one of those things I was like, well, we need to do this. Me and my cousin both joined up at the same time, just about 3 weeks after 9/11.
Man, it's a sense of duty, having a purpose with what I do, knowing that I make a difference. That really means a lot to me, and is the main reason that I've stayed in the Army.
I loved history. I love just seeing World War II movies, Vietnam. I was all into it. And once I hit 18, I still seen the war was still going on, and seeing it on TV, the Marines and the Army guys kicking in doors, seeing them in action, I wanted to feel what they were feeling.
But I was always into playing Army and that type of stuff, and I loved the war movies and that. You know, and later I would find out that it's not like Hollywood. Every unit in the Army gets tasked. We were tasked with Land Warrior.
When I came to 4-9 and they told me that we were going to equip with Land Warrior, and I was like, oh God, I don't want to have anything to do with this.
system consists of several parts. A computer system that has a GPS repeater along with a 2 gigabyte hard drive. It's basically does the same thing as your home computer does. It has a radio system that is a data sent signal over the radio. It has a helmet mounted display. It is a 2-inch screen that is mounted on your helmet that flips down over your eye. The 2-inch screen represents what you would see a normal 17-inch monitor. And it also has a GPS system that's built into it. The system itself gives you 4 distinct advantages, which normal soldiers do not have. It gives you situational awareness. This allows you to see all blue forces that are in your area of operation. It gives you map and imagery. It also allows the leaders to be able to change graphics while on the move. And it also gives us voice and text messaging capabilities.
If you look traditionally at the 3 questions of where am I, where are my friends, and where are the enemy, this provides me near real-time knowledge of where I'm at and where all of my units are at, which provides me better ability to command and control the movement of the unit in the field, and also prevent fratricide, and also determine what amount of force I want to bring to bear on known or suspected enemy locations at a given time.
Well, we started fielding Land Warrior approximately a month ago, on the 15th of May of 2006, and so far it's going well. We're pretty optimistic.
I don't know who ever put it on a soldier's back, the original configuration, and had them walk around with it, because it appeared to me designed in a vacuum, as in, well, we need all these things to make the system run, but we don't look at, we need all these things to make the system run on the back of a soldier who's, walking a street, hopping a wall, going through a door, or coming out of a hatch in a striker.
I'll tell you what, I came to 4.9 right after they started the limited user test, which was basically the very beginning of the program for 4.9, and I hated it. I wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. And they pushed it on us really hard, and 8 months of pretty serious, painful training with the system, and we just wanted it to go away. We didn't want anything to do with it.
Wasn't reliable enough. There's too many issues with it, too many maintenance issues with it. So I was the first to say, no, we shouldn't take it with us.
I personally was not in favor of having Land Warrior, but I was willing to give it a shot.
I think the technology is the next logical step in the development of land warfare. I think the technology is undeniable. It's coming in some form or another. It's clear as we're going through some of the testing of the system, it's still in its infancy stages, and there's some problems with it, but there's a lot of things it does well. But it never gets better unless someone's there to test it, develop and identify deficiencies, and allow the engineers to get feedback from the field to create solutions to that. So that's kind of why we're here, so we can help make it better. So generations down the road, it's only yay big and weighs nothing and does everything you want it to.
It'd be easy if we just built stuff without ever using soldiers ever, and we just have engineers designing stuff and we just hand it over to the soldiers. But it's far better if we give it to soldiers, get their feedback, make changes, so using soldiers early on in the process rather than later benefits us from a developer standpoint.
You're the first unit in the United States Army to be equipped with this kit. You're the point of the spear. You're going to tell us what's good about it, what's bad about it. You're going to tell us what the tactics, techniques, and procedures are. You're going to rewrite Army doctrine. You're going to rewrite the way we fight.
They displayed the system, gave us a rundown of it, and I'll be honest, I was a fan right away of the idea of Land Warrior, what it could do, what I was seeing in the display. The physical characteristics of it, were just awful. Ergonomically, it was not right.
We actually didn't do a very good job at first. We arrived in what we call a belt concept, where soldiers wore the system around their waist, and that was a no-go from the start from them, and they directed that we needed to change where everything went, which is, of course, was a hard thing to do because we sat around, and that's a big deal. A lot of people didn't want to make changes. It was what it was, but we did do that.
But, the people who make it and the people who are providing it, they were awesome. They worked with us really hard to get it the way we wanted it, out of the way of the soldier. We didn't want to see Land Warrior. We didn't want to see it. We want it to be gone inside our vests or inside of our equipment. So we worked real hard towards getting to that.
Thank you. Take care of yourself. Keep up the fight.
The decision to take Land Warrior to combat, which I made, was a very big decision, and one that I did not take lightly. It also wasn't a unilateral decision. as most of my decisions are not as a battalion commander. Of course, there's a lot of important feedback mechanisms that I use, and most importantly is my subordinate leaders and soldiers. And I asked them, so what do you think?
When they asked us, do you want to take it? Unequivocally, yes. Absolutely, yes. You know, just let me get it there, and then I'll figure it out from there.
There was a lot of grumbling. Well, you know, we'll bring it, we're not going to wear it.
I was a pretty big advocate against the whole Land Warrior program when we found out we were going to take it. And it's like, oh, man, it's another 10 pounds of stuff I'm never going to turn on, you know. And boy, was I wrong when we got to country.